Hello, everyone. On Friday, looking forward to Shabbos, Parshat Korach. First, I want to thank the sponsors of this video, Dvar Torah message. We thank our friends out in Cambridge, across the Charles River, Rajiv, Aaron, Menglani, and family. And thank you very much for the sponsorship. We will be having a general membership meeting this Sunday evening. I won't reread that incredibly long email from yesterday. And of course, though, the vote whether or not to disassociate from the National Council of Young Israel is on many people's minds. It is a topic of many discussions, and it is a very important issue that arouses very strong feelings on both sides of the matter. Luckily for us, we can still smile. Luckily for us, it is Parshat Korach, the parsha about the great dispute in the Jewish people. So, let us see what we can learn from the parsha. The parsha, of course, revolves around Korach, who challenges Moshe. It is a political challenge. He seeks to change the leadership positions of the people, who is king and who is the high priest. But it is also a philosophical challenge. Korach presents a different perspective, a different way of seeing the world. His slogan is Kol Ha'ida Kulam Kadoshim, the entire people is holy. And so Korach is asking for specific practical changes, reforms, and he is also presenting a different worldview, a different way to live our lives. And this challenge destabilizes the people. There is a dispute. There is a sense of unease. People do not know where will all of this lead. Who will be the leader? The people wonder. And is Korach correct? Kol ha'ida kulam kadoshim, there's some ring of truth to that. There are two competing narratives, two competing sets of values. And so Moshe feels the need to desperately restore order and clarity. He needs to show who is the divinely chosen leader and high priest. He needs to clarify to the people what is the correct worldview of the Torah, of their God. He needs the people to make the people feel safe and secure, that they know where they are going, who will be leading them. And so he devises a test. He says anyone who wishes to challenge the high priesthood of Aharon should bring a fire pan of incense, and we will see which one is accepted by God. And he says that if he, Moshe, is not meant to be the leader of the Jewish people, or to say it in the reverse, if he is indeed meant to be the leader of the Jewish people, then his challengers will die like no one else has ever died. And of course, Moshe and Aaron are right. Moshe was meant to be the leader, Aaron the Kohen Gadol. And so the earth swallows Dasan and Aviram, those challenging Moshe. The incense of Aharon is offered, and those who challenged him are consumed in a fire from heaven. And so everything is clarified. It is clear who is right and who is wrong. It is clear who has won and who has lost. And the matter is settled. But of course, it is not settled. The general population are still frightened, are terrified. There is no peace, there is no order, there is no clarity. And the next day, after all of this, the people are complaining, Atem hamitem et am Hashem, you have killed the people of God. Why did you need to annihilate Korach? Later they complain, they say, Moshe, Aaron, hengavanu, avadnu, kulanu, avanu, we have perished, we are lost, we are totally lost. We don't know what to do, we don't know how to proceed. And so there's another miracle of a blossoming almond branch, a symbol of peace, of organic growth. This too does not fully settle the issue and calm the people down until Aaron is commanded to not just be an authority figure, a leader of ritual, but to be someone who will protect and care for the people, and at least for the time being, that restores peace and order and clarity. And so what happened, and what are we to learn from all of this? There's no source in our sages that state that Moshe's asking for this challenge and test of the fire pans or the earth swallowing his challengers, that was a sin, that was morally wrong. There's no reason to assume that it was a sin. But it did not work. Why is that? Well, when it comes to nations at war, demanding unconditional surrender or annihilation can work. But when it comes to human beings in relationship, that does not work. When there is a fight, even when there will be a separation, like unfortunately at a divorce, my experience is to demand total surrender or annihilation. It doesn't work for the other person or for you. It simply makes everything blow up, makes everything escalate, and it becomes worse for everyone. Moshe very clearly demonstrated that he was right and Korach was wrong. And he forced Korach, his followers, and the general population into a kind of unconditional surrender. And that did not work. And this is even though Korach was wrong. But to simply reiterate that, to simply thrust that in his followers, his sympathizers' faces, did not solve the deeper issues. Moshe needed to create, if not a place for Korach himself, if not for his followers, at least for some in the general population who were drawn to his ideas, and to explain to them and say very clearly, Korach is absolutely wrong to challenge Aaron to be the Kohen Gadol. But I understand why some would wonder why Aaron was chosen. And so we need to clarify and explain Aaron's role, what he is to do as Kohen Gadol, and why he was chosen. And Korach was absolutely wrong to challenge Moshe as being the leader of the Jewish people. But there is truth. There is some amount of truth, certainly, to his claim, Kol Haida Kulam Kedoshim. And Moshe needed to explain how that value is validated and expressed in other ways, in other mitzvos, in other places of the Torah or Jewish life. Such a balanced but nuanced explanation, approach, validation, only that would ultimately restore clarity, order, and peace in the people. I will not rehash, nor is it my place to go over any particulars in the issue before the membership of the Young Israel Brookline. But I do feel comfortable saying that there is truth, there is validity, there is an argument to be made on both sides of the issue. Now, that doesn't mean that after weighing the pros and cons, you can feel passionately, confidently that one choice is the correct one, is the better one for you, for our community. After weighing the pros and cons, you certainly can feel that way. But what I ask of you, what I suggest to you is as follows. We are not nations at war and seeking total surrender or annihilation. One is wrong because there is validity on the other side. And two, it just won't work. Rather, we are a community struggling to find the correct path for us. And so if you think, for example, we'll say this out both ways, if you think that we should stay as part of the National Council of Young Israel, you can feel that strongly, passionately. But I ask you to please also recognize, at least I do, that there are major problems with the National Council of Young Israel. And if we were to remain, it will be very difficult for certain valued members of our community, and they'll be placed in a difficult position. And so if we will stay, those who vote in that way, and all of us as a shul, myself included, will need to validate in words and in deeds the other perspective, to make it easier for those people to feel comfortable in the community, to make sure that they know that we recognize, even if we voted in the other way, that there's truth and validity to what you're saying, and we still need to address it in some way. Similarly, if you think that we definitely, absolutely should leave the National Council of Young Israel, that is a valid position. But please recognize that that will be very difficult for some people. Most likely it will be a break in the name. For some, it will feel like it's a break in the continuity and the history and the identity of the shul. And so if we will leave, those who vote in that direction especially, the entire shul together, myself included, will need to validate those concerns and those feelings, which have truth to them. And we will need, through words, through actions, to show how we will make sure to honor the shul's history, to protect its identity, its values, who we are. So again, I repeat, none of this means that you cannot vigorously advocate one position after weighing the pros and cons. You can feel very certain that we should or should not separate from the National Council of Young Israel. But we all need to try to find a place that we validate, that we recognize, a place for those other people who share a different perspective. There is validity to it, and if we don't do that, again, total surrender, annihilation doesn't work. That is one thing our Parshat teaches. And so I hope these ideas will help us as we approach the vote and after it. Because after the vote, I will be here, we will be here, and there will be a different kind of work that will begin after the vote. It took Moshe and Aaron a few tries to choose a path in the fork in the road. Will it be Moshe or Korach? They chose Moshe. But that wasn't enough. It took them a few tries to figure out how, in that path, to validate the truth that there was in the other side, and to find room so the Jewish people would be comfortable in that path. And that is not easy. It took them a few tries, but we try to model their actions. And so we need to hash this out. We'll be having a vote, and then after the vote, the side that is happier with the outcome needs to extend itself with an olive branch, with a blossoming almond staff for those who will be disappointed. And I do believe we can do that. That is what I will be trying to do, trying my best as a human being to listen, to understand, my best as a rabbi to teach, to explain, and to make sure that there is a place for everyone in our wonderful shul. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom.